Apparently the UN Security Council is now due to meet over the violation of Polish airspace by Russia yesterday. Chris, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
I mean, it seems almost irrelevant to talk about anything else in the wake of what happened to Charlie Kirk, but there are so many other amazing and incredible stories going on, including whatever did happen yesterday in Poland over the airspace, and whether Russia did something deliberately, whether it was an act of aggression, whether it was an act of annoyance. What's your take on it?
Yeah, Mike, before I talk about that, one thing I've been saying on social media for about 3 years now is the highest form of bigotry is when you make a moral judgment about somebody's difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And this is a direct result, as Mark Field said, of calling people fascists, Nazis, when they're not. We've got loads of our politicians doing that at the moment. They need to hang their heads in shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, to Poland. So we've got about 20 drones that penetrated the Polish border. That's not an accident. You can precisely navigate these drones, so the Russians knew exactly what they were doing. There's two aspects to it. One is tactical. You're trying to get into the city of Lvov around the back door rather than through the front door, trying to evade the air defenses. And secondly, the Russians are testing responses to see what happens. And I suspect what they're trying to do is see whether there would be a response if they put some of these drones against some of the weapon supplies that are going through Poland to Ukraine, because quite a lot of the weapon supplies do go through Poland. Right. And I think they're warming up to see if they can get away, frankly, with targeting those supplies.
Yeah. And so what would they make of the response then, do you think? Would they be happy that nothing really serious happened to them as a result of that incursion?
Well, I think they're calibrating the response now. I mean, there is an option, of course, is to do something in return, but that would be escalatory. And you have to think about the outcome that you want. Right. Everybody talks about Sun Tzu and the art of war. It was mentioned just now in relation to Mandelson. But in fact, all the generals that followed Sun Tzu lost subsequently. So I'm never a great quoter of Sun Tzu. But in military practice, what you've got to do is say, OK, we know what Putin wants. What is really going to hurt him? Well, the only thing that's going to hurt him is the application of secondary sanctions to his economy and a stepping up of war material to Ukraine. I keep saying to the government on social media, the best peacekeepers in Ukraine are the Ukrainians themselves. You know, the last thing you want is British, French or ragtag and bobtail peacekeeping troops when there's no peace to keep and you're not prepared to fight the Russians. You're not going to deter anybody.
No, quite. And what's the point of the UN Security Council meeting today?
Oh, it's essentially been called, obviously, by Poland, and they have to respond. I suspect there will be a lot of head shaking, a lot of hand wringing, and a lot of condemnation. And the Russians will go, hey, you know, we're doing this all the time. You know, we're actually ethnically cleansing 4 oblasts in Ukraine. This is just a pinprick. We don't care.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that is the problem, isn't it? Because it's sort of it's now kind of a stalemate situation, really. Donald Trump's done what he can to try and get people around the table. Putin obviously is not that interested in getting around the table unless somebody gives him a bit of Ukraine to go away with and go, that thanks very much indeed, we'll keep that. I mean, it's almost reached a point where you can't really solve it.
Well, Mike, I mean, he's pretty explicit about what he wants. I mean, on the first day of this war, I sent an email to our chief of defense staff saying he wants the bottom third of Ukraine. Right. It's new Russia. It's quite clear in their propaganda. It's quite clear in what they're saying. I'm afraid none of us pay attention to what's going on in Russia from the inside out. We try and view Russia through our own lens. One thing I said recently is I watched a speech by a senior Russian general a while ago to the staff course in Moscow, and a student asked him, how are we going to win the war in Ukraine? And he said, we're just going to throw corpses at it. And that tells you how they think. You know, this is a war they think they're winning, they think they can win, and unless you absolutely cripple them economically, that's what needs to happen. You're not going to stop anything. Remember, they're getting most of their munitions from China, North Korea, and Iran. These Shahed drones that are being used. So Ukraine's not just fighting Russia; it's fighting China, Iran, and North Korea as well.
Well, that's it. I mean, I saw a piece in the FT yesterday saying that that China and Russia are moving ever closer economically, so that there's investment vehicles being dreamed up, so that no matter what the sanctions are that get put on Russia from the West, they will now open up a brand new kind of economic area in China.
Mike, I've been lecturing for 5 years that the world is split into two blocks,
Yeah.
the Eurasian autocrats, we've talked about this, and the maritime democracies. And that strategic split is now developing into two separate economic ecosystems. I'm in the business of forecasting. It always frustrates me that nobody ever pays any attention until it becomes obvious.
Right. Absolutely right. Well, you've always been right on all this stuff, Chris. I don't know why people don't listen to you. It's absolutely ridiculous. Chris, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Chris Parry, Rear Admiral Chris Parry.